Welcome to the DMF. I'm Justin Yance. This is part three. Now, I want to go back to because you were talking about who is this guy? Who is the guy? Talk a little bit about what you found of who the Crypt Keeper was. Like what
It's
is
me.
what
It's
what
me.
is he?
It's
He's
just
just
me.
you.
It's just me. It's
It's
no
just you
more
go.
complicated. It's me. It's me filtered through a Groucho lens. Just
Interesting.
in the same way that the Marx Brothers were always screwing with the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Crypt Keeper could screw with the world. The Crypt Keeper could make a commentary on how crazy the world was.
So would
And
you think of like with the Crypt Keeper and where he is, where you guys do the segments, he leaves. Where does he go? Just give us a little bit of a glimpse into that. Like, does
ask
that
that again.
where does he go? Is that his home? Where he is in the
Yes.
that is
Yes.
his home. Yeah, that's what I
Yes.
thought.
And it's got rooms and offshoots. It's wherever your mind can go, he's got a room for it.
I love that. I love that because so in season three, you said the popularity started to explode with this character. What
Yeah.
was that just like that season one and season two was missing? That season three
He
just
had an interior life.
okay.
And because he was written with an interior life, John could perform him with an interior
Okay.
life. The writing gave John a chance
To let
to
him come
act,
to
to
life.
actually, he suddenly understood that there was more. It wasn't just lines thrown at the character. It was implicit in the way that we even worked together, the questions that I asked, the reasons, because he was doing things that he had never done before. Well, what's the justification? Well, here's the justification. Who is he? Oh, well, that's a whole different way of thinking about him. No one's asked that question before. And suddenly we all began to invest the Crypt Keeper with an inner life.
Yeah.
And that all by itself, because we thought about that character differently.
Yeah.
He this all gets manifested
Yeah.
inside the work product, and that collective work product reflects
So it
this
gave him
whole different
something,
way of thinking
gave him,
about
gave the
him.
actor, the voice actor, something to chew on a little bit and really like,
Oh, yeah. Suddenly the attitude was attached to a perspective and a point of
yeah,
view. It wasn't just, you know, shotgun here, shotgun there. There was someone was
yeah.
holding the shotgun, as it were, and directing there, there. And so there was, as with any creative endeavor, it's okay to play, but a little structure, is a good thing.
So now you're seeing success in the third season. How does HBO's view on the show look now?
Well, they ordered more seasons, so
Dang it, I like it.
suddenly everyone recognized this is a good thing. And it was good for their business. After another season, and the Crypt Keeper now is wow. Suddenly, Budweiser called and said, "Hey, we'd like him to advertise beer for us." And suddenly, I made a merchandising deal with Joel. Now, that to me was that's a tell. Joel didn't give away anything to anybody. Uh, Kevin doesn't have a merchandising deal. John Kassir doesn't have a merchandising deal.
Yeah.
Joel made a merchandising deal with me. And the reason is because that's an acknowledgement that I increased the value of that
Interesting.
franchise. The puppet itself, the voice itself, it wasn't until the interior life brought it all together that it became a franchise character that suddenly could be marketed outside of its own TV show.
Interesting.
That what I did to the Crypt Keeper turned it into a franchise,
Yeah.
a very different thing than just a character. It suddenly could live outside
Yeah.
its own world and live, in essence, in our world, in any world. And
Right.
people recognize, hey, it could be turned into a kids show,
Yeah.
into
Yeah,
a
they did.
kids show,
They turned
for
it into a
Pete's sake,
kids show. They did.
to a kids show. That's how we altered this character became, despite the fact of where it came from,
Yeah.
there was something embraceable about him because of who he was.
It's that universal flavor. Could you recognize once you were writing these scripts and these things, could you see like the change? Like what do you think was just,
When I look at seasons 1 and 2, I see
Yeah.
a talking puppet.
yeah, that's a good point.
And after I left, people continue to write things for the Crypt Keeper. He's done various things, but you can't really write for the Crypt Keeper anymore because unless you own him, you can't, and only
Yeah.
Joel owns him. But the occasionally the people who wrote for John to say stuff on all the shows that they did, none of them understood. They were writing for the Crypt Keeper. They weren't
Yeah.
writing as the Crypt Keeper.
Exactly.
And the difference is immediately discernible. Immediately. It's a very different way to think. It's a different perspective on the character. And so, if you don't think of yourself as the Crypt Keeper, if you don't come from within, you'll give him any old thing to say. Any old thing to say.
So when you
I
would,
lost my
when you
mind
would
there for a
write
second. I
him, it's
apologize.
okay. It's okay. When you would write him, would you have to get into a certain space of mind
Oh gosh,
to
yes.
do it?
Oh my
Okay.
gosh, yes. Yes. That's why I said they were so hard to write because
Yeah.
one, there was just the mechanics of getting the words right, but they had to fit into the voice in my head.
Yeah.
If they don't work, if the Crypt Keeper voice in my head can't
Yeah.
say those words to his satisfaction,
Yeah.
this is dying right here on my desk. It's not getting any further than this. So it had to. I performed it first before it went to John. I wasn't going to give John anything that. The last thing I would want was John to look at me and go, "What's this?"
What you
John,
could
and
hear.
so I knew whenever I was going to hand John something, John knew there on the page whether it was what is this. So just so I could look John in the eye.
Who
had to
writes
be
like that?
It had to be honest. It had to come from the soul.
Alan Moore, the comic book writer, he had to get, when he would do his comics, he would get into the mindsets of the characters.
As we continue to tell my story, as we continue, that is going to echo the idea of being inside a head and not being inside a head. Now, this was success beyond anything I thought possibly going to experience in my life. We were so successful that Universal Pictures said, "Hey, this makes great feature films." And the concept was it's an anthology. Every movie's different.
Yeah.
And of course, we jumped up and down and said, "Hooray, hooray. That's exactly what we want." Gil was supposed to direct the first Crypt feature, but for a little while we dallied with doing From Dusk Till Dawn, but ultimately we couldn't make a deal with that one. There was this other script called Demon Knight that the partners and the Brain Trust wanted to do. Gil did not want to direct a monster movie.
Yeah.
And so he begged off doing the first one. Neither Gil and I are horror guys. And the one thing we were terribly afraid of was the town pigeonholing us, which is what the town does. And so the one that Gil was going to direct, that we were going to write, we didn't want it to be straight up horror. We wanted to show the town that we were multifaceted.
Yeah.
And so when Gil bowed out of directing Demon Knight and we hired Ernest Dickerson instead, and Ernest, phenomenal director.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, what an amazing visual director. He was Spike Lee's director of photography on a bunch of great movies. Got an amazing cast. Billy Zane is an amazing horror movie villain. He's sensational. Jada Pinkett and Bill Sadler are wonderful heroes. The whole cast of that movie is terrific. But while we were producing that and working on another season of Crypt, we were also developing what we expected would be the second Crypt feature. And Gil and I had found a script called Fat Tuesday was its original title. And we developed it into a thing called Dead Easy. And this was a taut psychological thriller about a recovered memory. It took place in the swamps outside New Orleans. It had a tremendous villain, a monster, this Harlequin character, great franchise character. There was a whole bunch of movies in that character. Oh, holy cow. Universal Pictures must have been down with it because we were spending money. We spent 6 months in New Orleans prepping that movie. We were casting. We had hired a young unknown named Salma Hayek to play the female lead. We were in New Orleans prepping the movie 3 weeks before the start of principal photography. Universal Pictures called us and they said, stop, don't spend another penny on that movie. You're not making it. Get on an airplane, come home. And so 3 weeks before the start of principal photography, we got on an airplane, we flew back to Los Angeles. And when we got there, Universal Pictures said, you're not going to make that movie, you're going to make this other thing instead. And they stuck this script under our noses. It was called Bordello of Blood. And they said, your release date hasn't changed. You still start shooting in 3 weeks. Get to work rewriting this thing, guys. Where did Bordello of Blood come from? At about the time that we were making Bordello, Dead Easy, a new studio had come into being called DreamWorks. And DreamWorks was Steven Spielberg leaving his deal, not the lot at Universal, and setting up shop as a studio. And as a studio, he'd start making deals, and Universal was desperately afraid of losing another big piece of talent. One of my executive producers, Bob Zemeckis. Steven was his mentor. And so Universal approached Bob and they said, Bob, Universal. I don't know any other part of the deal. Obviously, Bob stayed. I know one deal point. Universal Pictures agreed to buy for $500,000, $500,000, the first students that Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale, the future Back to the Future writers, ever wrote when they were students at USC, a thing called Bordello of Blood. $500,000, just a way to put some money in Bob's pocket, part of a larger deal point, larger deal. But then Universal sat there thinking to itself, wait, are we just going to eat this $500,000? Hey, wait a minute. Bob's about to executive produce this other horror movie, this Dead Easy thing. We spent, what, $50,000 on that script? Screw that. We'll take it out of their budget. Guys, you're making Bordello of Blood. It's got Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale's name on it. That's bigger than Alan Katz and Gil Adler's name, isn't it? And so for that very cynical reason, we went from making a project that the entire creative team had been working on for 18 months. And we were all the entire Crypt creative team. And making Tales from the Crypt, every single person who worked on that show would tell you today, as they look back on their careers, that was one of the highlights. Because of all the incredible freedom we had making Tales from the Crypt. Over the 70 some odd episodes that I oversaw, I got a total of 3 notes from HBO. 3. That is insane, a wonderful amount of creative freedom. Well, that creative freedom went everywhere for us to do our jobs.
Yeah.
Suddenly we went from the epitome of the collective creative experience to, I'm sorry, we're making a student movie because of a deal point. This was a movie that literally nobody wanted to make this movie. This was not something that any of us wanted to do. And when you start making a movie for a reason as cynical as that, or any creative endeavor whatsoever, for a reason as cynical as that, do not be surprised when every day is stupider than the day before it. And that is exactly what happened over the course of making Bordello of Blood. We went from really the best possible creative environment you could be in to the worst. And once Universal made this terrible decision, every single decision seemed to be trying to outdo it for terribleness.
Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.